let's talk about the premium live event that's going to occur next Saturday night from the MGM Grand Arena, the Interconfines, the MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Money in the Bank premium live event streaming live only on Peacock. And let's kick things off with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. At the time of this recording, 6 of the 7 women have been filled. From the Friday night SmackDown side, you got the cover Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, and Lacey Evans, who just returned after a year off after having a baby. Very young over there on the SmackDown side, not a ton of experience in the WWE main roster ring, the longest being Lacey Evans, who came up in 2019. But again, she has not been in the ring for a long time, only had a couple matches since her return this past spring. They've done a great job with those promos of bringing her back. On the Monday Night Raw side, you got the veteran Asuka. You got Liv Morgan trying to win her first Money in the Bank, as well as a former Money in the Bank winner, Alexa Bliss, who has since dropped her down Lily since returning, and she looks like the old Alexa Bliss, and she's been a great competitor. Now, if I had to guess, prior to Money in the Bank, whether it's this coming Monday on Raw, when the potential GO 16-time world champion John Cena returns, if I had to guess, I would say Becky Lynch somehow finds a way to get into this MITB women's match and win the match. I think they are setting up for Becky Lynch to have a potential cash in on Bianca Belair, whether that be at Money in the Bank or whether it be at SummerSlam, which was, of course, the same event that Becky Lynch beat Bianca Belair last year in 26 seconds for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Could she, in Bianca Belair's hometown in Nashville, Tennessee, Neon Stadium, the home of the Tennessee Titans, at SummerSlam, cash in on her after Bianca Belair potentially defends the Raw Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley? Of course, we all know she was out on Money in the Bank. Bianca Belair is going to defend the Raw Women's Championship against Carmella now, after Carmella won a fatal 5-way match a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, which was a great and a phenomenal contest. But I do believe that Becky Lynch should be the favorite, even though she's not in the match right now, to win the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And I do hope that the Women's Money in the Bank winner does hold onto the briefcase more than one day. Because since Carmella won the Money in the Bank briefcase in 2018, she is the only woman to hold onto the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase more than 24 hours. Alexa Bliss cashed in the same night, 2018. 2019, Bayley cashed in the same night. 2020, Asuka cashed in the next night. 2021, Nikki ASH cashed in the next night. Let's see the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match gets a little bit more run. I think this may have a chance to kick off the show. If I had to guess, again, I think Becky Lynch is going to insert herself and win the match. My second guess would go out to Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan. I do think the winner is going to come from the Raw side of things, because I think Raw is a more interesting picture right now than SmackDown, at least for the Women's Championship. Speaking of the Women's Championship, Ronda Rousey, the SmackDown Women's Champion, will defend her championship against Natalya. We know these women go way back. We know they are good friends, but now all of a sudden Natalya is making fun of Ronda Rousey having a baby, and Natalya thinks her sharpshooter is better than Ronda Rousey's armbar. I do think Natalya and Ronda Rousey have great chemistry. We've seen them, as I mentioned, work in the ring before. I think this is going to be a really fun match. I think it's a good opportunity for Natalya to showcase herself on a big stage like Money in the Bank, though I do think Ronda Rousey will retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. Again, speaking of championships here, the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair, I already mentioned, will defend against Carmella. Carmella has been like the thorn in Bianca Belair's side over the last year, whether they've both been on SmackDown or whether they've both been on Raw. Carmella always seems to find a way, again, whether it's with Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss, Asuka in that fatal 5-way match, whether it's to steal an opportunity like that after Rhea Ripley, unfortunately, it sounded like suffered a concussion and she's out of Money in the Bank, whether it's taking advantage and trying to steal Sasha Banks' spot at last year's SummerSlam, whether it's at Rolling Loud, whatever the case may be, Bianca Belair and Carmella always seem to mix it up. I do think this is going to be a really fun match. I think they have great chemistry. I do think the EST walks away with the Raw Women's Championship. I think they will set up Bianca versus Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. If that does not happen, I could very well see a WrestleMania 38 rematch between Belair and Becky Lynch. Whether or not Becky Lynch is the briefcase or not, we will see about that. Now, Montez Ford, or excuse me, Bianca Belair's husband, Montez Ford, teams with Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits, take on the Bloodline, the Usos. We know every time these two get together, it's one hell of a banger of a match. This time it is for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships of the World. Again, fun match, but I do think overall the Usos will retain the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. I am a little bit worried as to what happens with the Usos after they get done with the Street Profits. We know Riddle is kind of moving on to a singles program now that Randy Orton is on him. Randy Orton, you were on one of the best runs of your career, bro. Good luck with your back surgery. We cannot wait to see you back on Monday Night Raw, teaming with RK Bro, taking out those Usos. But now that RK Bro is out of the picture, Alpha Academy is a heel tag team. The Viking Raiders are now a heel tag team. You know, we've seen the New Day and the Usos a million times. We've even seen the Usos and the Street Profits a lot. There's not really a lot of tag teams out there for the Usos to face anymore. So could we see a surprise and see the Street Profits win the tag team championships? I would love to see it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. I actually think if I were to bet money on it, the more likely thing that would happen would be Montez Ford turning into a single star on Angelo Dawkins. It kind of feels like the Street Profits have done everything that they could as a tag team. I'm not saying break them up, but I think the time could be soon because it just feels like they've done everything together as a tag team they could. And I don't think they're going to win the tag team championships here. Another title match coming up, the United States Championship between Austin Theory, who will meet John Cena in the ring this coming Monday on Raw, I believe, to set up their SummerSlam feud, taking on Bobby Lashley. Now, the question here, I already mentioned, I think Theory is going to face Cena at SummerSlam. Will it be for the first championship that John Cena ever won in WWE, the United States Championship? Theory, at his current heel character right now, definitely reminds me a lot of John Cena when he first came into the business. You can see it. It's all over him. You can see the kid is great at getting booed, and he has L of confidence. But I am here to say, I think Bobby Lashley could win the United States Championship here. I think we could get Theory versus Cena one-on-one at SummerSlam without any championships on the line. I'd love to see Cena actually beat Theory and let Theory kind of climb the ranks and get back to the top and finally give John Cena a victory. Who knows? Maybe if Cena sticks around, maybe this is for the title. Maybe Cena does win the United States Championship for a month and they could kind of hotshot it back to Theory if they wanted to. There's certainly a lot of options you could go with this. I didn't love the pose down these two did a couple weeks ago on Raw. I thought the baby oil and all that, thought it was kind of a stupid segment myself, but I'm really looking forward to this match. I think this is a good match for Bobby Lashley to kind of stick out on his own now that he's a babyface on Raw, and let him have a great match with Theory, and let's see if Lashley can get over. He's been getting a little bit better at his promos as of late. I've been very critical of his promos in the past, but shout out to Lashley. I think he is getting better. Though at the end of the day here, I think Theory is going to retain the United States Championship. Then we get to the main event of the show. That will include Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Sami Zayn, and Amos. As of this recording, 5 out of the 7 men have been filled for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And I got a lot of different people. I think you could win this briefcase. I think my favorite two right now, Sami Zayn from SmackDown, Seth freaking Rollins from Monday Night Raw. We know what everybody's thinking, right? Seth Rollins is going to probably win the Money in the Bank briefcase. We know Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns have a last man standing match, which I think is going to be just a barn burner, a phenomenal main event at SummerSlam in Nissan Stadium. Seth Rollins could cash in during or even after the match. They alluded to last night on SmackDown when the champion is vulnerable. But along those lines, we know the history with Rollins, Reigns, Lesnar. That could very well happen. We also know the history with Sami Zayn trying to get into the bloodline. What happens if Sami Zayn wins the Money in the Bank briefcase? Does he tease and go after Roman Reigns? The other question I have for this is, does one person say, like, does Rollins say, I only want the WWE championship? I think that is a good way to get the championship off of Roman Reigns, to get the WWE title back on Monday Night Raw and have only one Universal Champion on Friday Night SmackDown. I think that's the way to go. Even though I've enjoyed Raw recently, I think Raw would be better if they had a major championship. Obviously, I think all shows would be better if they had a major championship. But those are my two favorites right now. I think Drew McIntyre and Sheamus will have a hell of a spot. I think they put on some good matches in the past couple of weeks on SmackDown. I love their physical bout a couple of weeks ago, and I'm really interested to see what Amos does in a Money in the Bank ladder match. One or two steps up the ladder, that man could retrieve the briefcase. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's going to be an impressive, imposing force in that match. As for two other superstars that could join, I think right now, what do they got? They got 3 superstars from SmackDown, 2 from Raw. We know one more Raw superstar is definitely going to be added. I think that could be either Kevin Owens or Ezekiel, who they've had a lot of great programs with. And I would love a member of the New Day, like say Kofi Kingston or even Xavier Woods, who hasn't had a lot of chances at Money in the Bank, be added on the SmackDown side. So you could certainly go with Shinsuke Nakamura or somebody along those lines. AJ Styles also doesn't have a Money in the Bank match yet. You could throw him in. You could throw The Miz in. There are a lot of options they could do to add to this Money in the Bank ladder match, potentially expand to 7 or 8 people. Right now, again, I think my favorite would be Seth Rollins on Raw. Sami Zayn, though, would be number 2 on SmackDown, and I would love to see it.